All right. Welcome to On the Sideline. I'm your host, Jeff Holden. Today, we got Big O.
How y'all doing today?
And our new special guest, Jeremy Woodward of United Regional, the head athletic trainer.
How's it going today?
Good. We thank you so much for coming in here today. This is going to be episode 14 for us, but we have kind of a new interviewing. United Regional was one of our big sponsors, and so we're doing kind of a different interviewing with different pieces that some may not know about whenever you think about the sports world, but your guys' profession is very important, what you guys do, and then we hope to get an insight from you about what exactly you do and how important, the things you do is for the athletes and for all sports related in the area. So, again, episode 14, Jeremy Woodward, head athletic trainer, at United Regional. You are in charge of the dishing out, I guess, or I'll let you talk to about yourself. Okay. So Jeremy, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Jeremy Woodward. I'm the head athletic trainer for United Regional Sports Medicine. My role there is kind of multifaceted. I work a lot with our physicians, our practitioners, nurses, physical therapists, and then I also work out in the public with coaches, administrators, parents, and my staff that we place in our local, both city and rural areas.
Okay, very good. And just a little bit about yourself, like maybe your background, how you ended up here, how you ended up doing athletic training.
Okay. So 25 years in the profession. I spent my first 10 years at Hershey High School, native of Southwest Oklahoma. Got to Texas as quick as I could. And this is, kind of the hot spot for football and athletics. Everything is bigger and better in Texas. So been here working on starting year 25. I've been with United Regional for those first 14 years and seen our program grow, and I've seen our organization grow.
Yes, for sure. I mean, it's, as everybody knows in this area, United Regional is one of the biggest, if not the biggest employer. So we know that United Regional continues to grow, but we want to learn more about, what it is exactly that you do. We know athletic trainers, we know what they do on the field, but you have kind of a specialty role, or as far as where you place, I guess, go over the amount of people and where maybe you place different people during different situations, and what all sports do you guys cover?
So we currently have 10 full-time staffed athletic trainers. We do have athletic trainers that work subcontracted for us. We'll cover predominantly, football is always the most heavily covered because of the collision, contact, and chance and risk of injury. But we have athletic trainers that are covering volleyball games, practices for, basketball at local high schools around the area.
So Coach, I always call my trainer at school Coach or Doc. That was and don't laugh at me when I say this. It took me to probably about my sophomore year when I realized that his real name wasn't Doc and his name was actually Clay.
Yeah.
Clay Marshall. I just thought Doc Marshall was his name. But I'm not going to let you off the hook too easy. So you say you're from Oklahoma, right?
Yes, sir.
This is the off-the-wall question. So UT or OU? What's your team?
Well, I used to be a Big 12 advocate. Now that Oklahoma and Texas have both went to the SEC, I just like college football. I don't have any true loyalties.
Okay, good answer.
I'm a native of one, but I'm a citizen of the other.
Okay,
there you go.
So I like that answer, Coach. I mean, so let's we talk about the vastness of what your role is. Let's talk a little bit about the partnerships and different things that United Regionals do throughout this community.
So United Regional, as an organization, as a healthcare system, not just a group of orthopedics or a physicians group or this department, that department, our organization does a phenomenal job supporting things in our community. And I take a lot of pride at all of the sports that we support. We support local athletics from putting programs into the media guides, put teams into golf tournaments, things like that. We support a lot of our incoming sporting events when we have rodeo, we have Harder Than Hell and things like that.
Also, they also sponsor and support up and coming podcasting groups.
For sure, for sure.
Shout out for that.
Absolutely.
For sure. We were talking a little bit before the show started. If I'm not mistaken, you guys have rekindled even bigger relationships with Midwestern State and Wichita Falls ISD. Is that correct, sir?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, when you look at, the largest athletic populations for athletes, Midwestern State and WFISD have the most participants. And they were a little bit understaffed in terms of athletic trainers. So we've kind of helped bolster their staff. We work with their staff as with all the other staffs throughout the area that we have athletic trainers at.
Okay. So I'm flowing with it now. I feel like I'm in my juices right now. So, what's something that you would say to that high school student that has a dream or a goal to possibly be an athletic trainer in the future?
So, kind of my own story, personally, I've always been involved with athletics. I was a player, loved it. Actually wanted to get into healthcare. I thought about, medical school and physical therapy. And whenever I started working with athletics, it's a great bridge from your adult life to kind of, as you said, rekindle like your childhood life if you're not a high level athlete. But it's a good bridge from science and technology. It stresses your mind as much as it does your body sometimes.
Oh, I bet. Another thing, we talk all the time, or through our head coach previews and football previews, we talked about a strength and conditioning coach. Mm-hmm. I know you guys kind of probably work hand in hand with them sometimes with maybe recovery or even certain type of things that you might set up for workouts or whatever. But what do you think? So the strength and conditioning coach is kind of like it's growing in popularity, like just one coach being designated just as S&C. Some schools have them, some schools don't. Do you have an opinion on having a strength and conditioning coach or somebody that, is designed or designated just to do that for the kids?
Well, I think anytime you have the opportunity to kind of establish staff members or place staff members in a designated role and not really overfill their bucket, they're able to be more productive. They're able to kind of focus more on what their main job is. So kind of that keeping their main job mentality. Mm-hmm. But coaches, even old school mentality, the 25 years ago when I started, the emphasis on, strength training, it was always there. I mean, there's always that's kind of built into the sporting professions. Mm-hmm. As the athletic trainer, we kind of visit with our coaches and make sure we know from a potential injury, prevention, or if we're kind of progressing a kid back in, kind of know what they're doing. But coaches in this area, regardless of if they have strength and conditioning certifications, they do a good job curtailing their strength and conditioning programs to meet the needs and demands of their athletes.
At Orthopedics Express, our primary focus is delivering exceptional care to patients with orthopedic injuries, such as sprains, strains, broken bones, and joint pain. You'll receive the expert care you need when you need it most. Simply walk in or schedule an appointment through MyChart. Located inside the Center for Advanced Orthopedics, Orthopedics Express is your fast track to orthopedic care.
Okay, and you talked about injury prevention. You just mentioned it.
Yes.
So, from your experience or experience of your staff, what would you say are the most common injuries, and what are some of the things that you guys either train or some of your trainers know to prevent those, or to attack it or heal it on site? Well, I mean.
So really one of the, blanket job descriptions of an athletic trainer, we're allied healthcare professionals that we're tasked with, the recognition, the management, and evaluation and treatment of athletic injuries. So we may not all be experts in all fields, but we know what we're looking for. We know what we're looking at. Common injuries like fractures, we We know basic first aid, splinting, where to go, timeliness of getting them taken care of and things like that. Same thing for, evaluation of a knee injury. The most common knee injury that people are aware of is a ACL or anterior cruciate ligament tear. So athletic trainers are kind of a mix match. We dabble a little bit in therapy and therapeutic exercise. We dabble a little bit in evaluation, assessment, and things like that. So not to disrespect my profession, we know a little about a lot of things, and when you tie all of that together, I think the athletic trainers are very valuable in our communities.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you think about it, they're like the ER on the field. It's it's like ER personnel coming to the injury instead of the injured personnel coming to the ER. So that's kind of cool. I've always thought, athletic trainers are interesting, like, because you don't have a whole lot of time to think. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Certainly.
like you said, get there, figure out what it is, triage it, or think, okay, what's the best plan here? And then if you got to go, you got to go. Like, I don't know. I always just thought it's kind of cool to be an athletic trainer.
Yeah, and we still, obviously we evaluate, we assess. We still follow the same principle, do no further harm. We always have our young athletes' best interest at heart. But, we're there. My group of staff, we're boots on the ground. We're at the schools. Seems like 24/7 sometimes. And I think that's beneficial from an injury prevention standpoint. If someone's doing something wrong, we may be able to address that, if there's some subtle strength problems, things like that. But equally important is those kids and participants that get injured when they return to play. We're making sure that they're able to return to play. They're comfortable, confident, and able to do so.
Yeah, and I'm like you, man. I got a bunch of questions just rolling around in my head. It's like, so another question I have, and this might be a little off the wall, but I just pictured it for whatever reason. But so say there's like a star quarterback and he gets hurt. Like how much trouble or heckling? I mean, you probably don't get any, but do you get any heckling from, say, the head coach or somebody who, oh no, he's all right, he can play? I mean, does that kind of stuff happen? And obviously, from a professional standpoint, you stand strong on your decision. But
well, and in the heat of the moment, sometimes you do get those questions. Again, one of my philosophies is, let me worry about the yeses and nos, and let the coaches worry about the X's and O's. So
nice.
If we ever have anything,
that's a good one right there.
Oh, we get a shirt.
If we ever have
That's a good one. We're gonna have to market that one.
If we ever have anything that's like that, obviously, it's we're part of the coaching staff. We're part of the sports medicine team. So if that ever does arise, then we obviously address that and say, hey, have time to, set back, and us as the athletic trainer, them as the coaches, and sometimes even the athletes to reflect on everything. But, the main thing is we want to ensure that our participants, that our athletes, the people under our care, are looking past their face mask. They're looking past that volleyball net into the future, because we want to ensure that they're able to participate at as high of a level as they can, as safely as possible. But they still have the long run, long term, rest of their life to look forward to as well.
So, Coach, we're moving along. Of course, if you've seen the show, of course, we always like to talk about a lot of things, but there's something that we just have to do on the show, and that's the Big O special. And I say we because when you get done, you're gonna have to wrap Jeff's ankle, because I'm gonna have to put him in ankle a lot, because he's always hating on me, if you can tell. But the Big O special. So I'm gonna ask this a bunch of different ways, because I got to get your opinion first. So what's your favorite place to eat at? Not a chain, but it's a mom and pop shop here in Wichita Falls.
Oh gosh. Well, I lived here for 10 years. I moved out. Currently live in Seymour. So I'm the athletic trainer there. I cover, their athletic events. Man, it's been a long time. It's hard to say. There's so many good places.
What would you say in Seymour, since you live in Seymour? Let's see if he say the same place as Coach Lloyd.
Yeah, he does.
I don't want to make anybody mad. I mean, for a small town, we have a lot of variety, but it's good.
Yeah. So
Everything's good.
Good answer. He wants to stay in good grace with everybody.
Yeah.
So we normally ask the coaches about pregame meals and different things that they feed the kids. So the approach we want to take with you is I guess this is a segue into the healthy Big O special. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. So what's some things from a health wise? I guess get your motors going, get your churn. What would be some stuff that you suggest that kids eat before games?
Well, I think, for hydration and kind of diet both, it doesn't need to be the pregame mentality. It needs to be the pre-week mentality. So, just like we're preparing our kids, practice one on Monday, we're going to do this, we're going to install this on Tuesday. I think our athletic performances would be better if we had better nutrition, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, instead of just, sometimes fast foods, junk foods, and things like that. Don't get me wrong, I like those things too. But from a participating standpoint, I think if you optimized your diet, I think you'd see a huge influence positively on your athletic performance. And same thing with hydration. Water's great, sport drinks, electrolytes, and things like that. If you ever cramp, you should have been hydrating days before the event, not halftime and pregame.
Talking about hydration, we're starting 2-a-days right now. Most schools obviously have started them, probably going 2 weeks now. But when you say hydration, everybody's like, oh yeah, you got to hydrate. But can you describe to us the importance of hydration and what it does for the body? And like you said, start hydrating days before, or even mentioning like the entire week to have some kind of hydration regimen would be ideal. But what are some of the things that can happen? And for those that may not know exactly, never had dealt with dehydration or been hospitalized because of dehydration, can you just tell us a little bit about how important that is and how it can really affect the body?
Sure. Well, one of the best ways to kind of do a checks and balances for hydration is weighing in and weighing out at practice. If you go into the locker room and you're 100 pounds, and after practice you're 94 pounds, where did it all go? Okay, in that quick of a time, that's simple math. It's kind of an exaggeration, but if you lost that much weight, most of that's water weight. So you should have to replace that prior to your next rigorous practice and things like that. So everybody can remember from their anatomy and physiology days, the human body is 75% water. And where it's so important, it's not just, to flush your kidneys out or things like that. It does play, the kidneys play the role in filtering water and things like that. But all of the processes that take places and all of our cells and tissues all take place in a water-based environment. It's a wet chemistry is what I've always kind of termed it and considered it. So from producing the energy to be able to play all the way down to ridding our bodies of the metabolic waste, that's all done through a water-based chemistry. And if we're losing that due to heat dissipation or sweating, then you throw everything kind of out of a balance.
Does hydration, and this is just me not knowing, but this is a serious question I'm asking. Does hydration play a key in injuries?
I personally believe so. Obviously the biggest one is, if you have experienced some kind of heat-related illness, cramping is going to be the first thing you normally get. Everybody gets tired whenever they're hot and they're sweaty, but whenever you have that involuntary, uncontrolled spasm and contraction in your calf or your quads or your hamstrings, cramping is kind of the first step. So some people will have some remnant pain and discomfort, strains types after even just something simple as cramping. But what you also have to think about is the more prolonged the dehydration, the less aware they are. There's going to be some cognitive effects, and that
was my question. Next question.
When you work your way, through that progression of heat-related illness, you have cramps, heat exertion, cramps, exhaustion, all the way to heat stroke. So heat stroke is the end game of that, and that's where you have your brain and your body isn't cooling itself like it's supposed to. Thermal regulation is not taking place. So if someone is out in the heat and they're in that end phase of heat exertion, going into heat stroke, they won't be sweating. They've stopped sweating. Their core internal body temperature is rising and rising and rising. So where everybody caught a cramp, everybody laughs at the kid on the bus that catches the cramp, because they were really out playing hard the night before or, the night of. As that progresses through, serious physiological problems can manifest if hydration is not tended to. One of those being potential hospitalization, potential death if the core body temperature isn't cooled down.
Yeah, that was kind of one of my questions. Right after O mentioned it, I was thinking, I bet, we all know how hard it is to be a quarterback. I mean, that's probably the toughest, mind controlling or mind assertion, position, because you've got to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start getting hot and dehydrated and those symptoms start rolling in, I mean, I could only imagine that what you're forgetting and how that affects the process of even how a quarterback reacts and makes plays and even with the running back. I mean, any play, any position.
Sure.
So I was going to say, I was going to ask you, but you kind of described it that, yeah, this definitely got some cognitive disadvantages with the heat and the hydration, lack of hydration. So, yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick break for our commercial break for our sponsors, and then we'll get back and we got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll be done.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. The realtor we trust is Kim Rowart, given to others with love. Kim was raised in this community and has been selflessly serving for over 20 years. Kim encourages everyone to thrive in their purpose. Kim is part of the Homes for Heroes program, where she gives back a portion of her commissions from each closing to all military, firefighters, law enforcement, healthcare, and educators who use her services. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Kim is the realtor for you. Go check out the website at homesforheroes.com. Since starting from scratch in 2020 by longtime resident of Clay County, Bob Belcher, Duck Creek Disposal has quickly become one of the most trusted waste disposal service and dumpster rental companies serving the 940 community and the surrounding areas. Local to the core, they take immense pride in being a part of the Wichita Falls community. Duck Creek Disposal's deep roots mean that every customer is treated like a neighbor. Their promise is to guarantee the best customer experience in the area, and they live by it. Whether you're a homeowner, contractor, or business, they've tailored their services to suit varied requirements. Bob's hands-on approach and belief in personal connection means that when you call Duck Creek Disposal, you're experiencing a standard of service that Bob himself envisioned. You talk to real people, not a machine. Go give Bob a call at 940-257-5660. Serving the 940 community for 12 years, Allegiance Electric and Controls is your trusted go-to for commercial and industrial electrical solutions. Contact them for reliable, tailored services to keep your operations running smoothly. Please call or visit their website at aecllc.com. For all your paving and concrete needs, we trust Freeman Paving, LLC. Located in Vernon, Texas, Freeman Paving is our recommended business for concrete, paving, and dirt work. They have over 20 years of experience working right here in our community. Next time you need any concrete work, give them a call, 940-552-9496. If you're looking to treat yourself to a delicious dessert, then Yogurt Journey is the place to be. Yogurt Journey offers 12 delicious flavors of frozen yogurt with over 60 topping options. If you want something warm instead, stop by to enjoy an amazing funnel cake, fried Oreos, fried brownies, or fried candy. Yogurt Journey also offers frozen yogurt rolls, waffle frozen yogurt rolls, and smoothies. If you need a cake for your next celebration, Yojo provides custom frozen yogurt cakes. Yogurt Journey is located on Kemp Street across from Barwise Middle School and is open daily from 12 to 9 p.m. For all your roofing related needs, we choose Assured Roofing and Construction. At Assured Roofing and Construction, their hard work is based off honesty, loyalty, and integrity, ensuring that every customer gets what they deserve and is happy and stress-free throughout the entire process. When any storm damage occurs to your roof, gutters, fencing, or siding, Assured will have you covered and help you from the initial free inspection to filing your claim, meeting with adjusters, and getting your damaged property fixed properly. Give AJ a call at 940-782-1194. All right. We're back with Jeremy Woodward, the head athletic trainer for United Regional. We have more questions. It's been a great interview so far. Been very informative. Why don't we start with what we just talked about off air during the break about the accessories and stuff like that. Do you want to take that on?
Yeah, so I was just telling them a little bit about how, of course, the kids we know is drip. Of course, drip. We're going to have a whole drip segment this football season. But we're just trying to educate you guys on, like, we're talking about hydration. And if you guys are pretty much lacking hydration and then you're going to put this compression stuff on, I was just asking the trainer, like, how does that give you more possibility of risk of leading to cramps and things like that? And I'll let him answer what he was explaining to me.
Yeah, so I think there's three ways that you can dissipate heat. Okay, one is I guess transfer heat, evaporation. Okay, but also like a lot of the clothing and the uniform, depending on color, depending on the fabric, how well it breathes and things like that. So, especially in these hot months, the more garb you wear that's added to your uniform, and it's not the minimum safety, pads, girdle, helmet, the more heat you're going to retain. So there's got to be a balance between how good you look and how well you're going to perform the entire game.
And how well your body needs you to perform. Yeah. So, and we went into a little bit of depth on that, talking about the compression and all that. But I think one big thing that's really growing, I mean, it's always been there, but we see more and more prevention, we see more and more of protocol, is the concussion.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, concussion equals not good for kids or for any athlete, any person, I guess.
That's pretty good. Can I market that one? Can I start using that for my trainings?
Yeah, put that on a shirt. Concussion equals not good.
Uh-huh.
I guess we want to know what determines a concussion protocol? How I guess take us from start to finish. Okay, a kid just got hit or he just made a big tackle.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting up, but he's kind of stumbling. That's the referee blows the whistle, or one of you or a trainer like you sees it, or something's brought to your attention. Like, hey, go out on the field and check this kid, and I guess walk us through how that goes.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm an advocate for athletics, and I love when kids play hard, and I love when kids play, just high speed, high intensity, and I really like the high intensity, high collision football. I'm a fan of that. But I'm also a professional of that. So I want to make sure whenever those collisions do happen that we're monitoring those kids visually. If we see any signs and symptoms, like you had said, kind of stumbling or something as severe as going to the wrong huddle or going to the wrong side of the line of scrimmage or the wrong position. So there's signs that you can see, and then there's symptoms that they can complain of. So if we have a suspected concussion, we're gonna bring an athlete over, and we're gonna try to do this in an area as quiet and kind of still and calm as possible, so they can focus on us. Because if anyone's ever had a concussion, they do realize that it's the bell rung and cobwebs. It's a really good analogy. So we'll take them through a battery of questions and see how they're answering those questions. Are they getting the answers right? Are they getting the answers wrong? One of the benefits of having athletic trainers on campuses frequently is we kind of get to know the athletes' personalities a little bit. We know them on a personal level. We know, he might not have known the answer to that even on a good day.
Right?
Yeah, because it's pretty in depth what we ask some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So we ask these questions. If we suspect there is a concussion, okay, or if a coach, because coaches have gone through concussion training for long time, and their catchphrase is "when in doubt, set them out," and then they add, "wait for a trainer to come evaluate." So if there's a suspected concussion, when there's a diagnosis of concussion, then that athlete needs to be symptom-free of concussion until he returns to play. There are some unique type of cases where, maybe we probably don't need this. Way too much. Yeah. So
No. That's good.
So when in doubt, set them out. For the diagnosis of concussion, we want to give the body mental and physical rest before we return them back to a phased progression to practice. So and I think everybody understands the protocol, and really the law now is an athlete can't return from a concussion 1 to 2 days afterwards. It's going to take a minimum of 1 week. And depending on how they resolve their symptoms and how they feel through that recovery, might even make it a little bit longer. Also, the number of concussions that they've had. So if someone's highly susceptible, had 3 or 4, then you're getting to that point in those decision-making conversations with parents, with athletes, when is enough? And those are all valid concerns from a parent, from a athlete, doctor, coach, and everybody.
So the concussion, I guess, when we hear concussion protocol, we're thinking NFL, and my fantasy football player is going to be out for 2 weeks or whatever. But is there is every person, I guess you kind of made it sound like every person is different in the concussion protocol. So there's not a set time of, he's going to miss the next game, or he has to miss the next game, or something like that. You hear that, people saying that, but is that something, I guess, from the trainer? Is that something from the coach, the school, or what?
So something with the UIL and with our legislative law, concussions, we do have to have a set amount of time where they're off. They have to go through phased progressions. So the day of a concussion, they can't do anything. It's got to be a 24-hour clock. Okay, so a Friday night football concussion or a Tuesday night volleyball, bang their head on the court. It's best to say 7 days minimum to get them to return to play, and really anticipate potentially longer, because those are things that we don't want to rush back.
Yeah.
And especially in younger kids as well. We don't want to push the envelope on that and really stress them. They're not musculoskeletally mature yet, and the younger the kids are, their brain stuff isn't hardwired either.
Yeah.
So I had a question for you, just because of experience. This is for my generation of people around my age, I guess. How do you determine the difference between, and this is from, I guess, a player kind of knowing when things are out of whack, between having a stinger and a concussion? Because the more I think about it, Mom, if you're watching this show, just forgive me, I could have had a concussion and considered it a stinger. Not knowing, back, I'm 38 years old, technology has changed so much, and I'm not even that old, but I'm just saying,
You're 38?
Yeah.
You told me you was younger than that. I was the old guy.
No, I'm 38, brother. Class of 2004.
Old.
Yeah.
God,
mind your business. So that lets you know right now on the Big O Special, you need to respect your elders. All right.
I didn't know that.
All right. So pretty much so what would be advice that you would give a player, like if let's say he does go through a situation where stingers to me is like where just you get numb. Is that something that players probably should notify their coaches of, hey, this happened to me? I see kids do it, and then you see them like shaking and trying to just like stay in there. But I think just because really you could be going through that, and it could be like a concussion. I don't know. I'm not the professional, but I just want to make sure the kids are playing the game safe this year.
Oh yeah. So the mechanism of injury, or the way that you get hurt with a stinger, you could also get a concussion as well, because you're going to have some kind of push to the head and depression of the shoulder. So the stinger is going to be kind of that pins and needles and that shooting pain down your arm. Okay. The concussion it's your brain. Okay. So you have an injury to the brain to where you can't process things as well. You have really cognitive deficits. You don't think clearly. You may have some ringing in your ears. You may have some nausea. A lot of different symptoms. So you use the word technology. One of the best things with technology, the higher levels that we work at, NFL teams, they have all the research is being done there. So the best work we can do at the high school and middle school and even Pee Wee level is talking to those kids and educating those kids and educating their parents and families and even the coaches, like I said earlier. But as the technologies have evolved from football, I think so have our kind of coaching philosophies and a lot of different things. Everyone's familiar with injury management, injury prevention, and concussion is one of the biggest ones that they kind of keep a thumb on.
Yeah, so I guess the next question I have is, you could talk about a little bit. A concussion doesn't always show up right away. Is that true or false on that?
That's correct. Yeah. So sometimes the symptoms can manifest or show up, minutes to maybe even hours afterwards. So it's always a good idea. If we have this suspected concussion, we go through our signs and symptoms checklist to do that at the initial evaluation. But it's not I checked you out and you're fine. We're still following up. We're checking up. And that's where I kind of use my X's and O's, yeses and no's with my athletic trainer and coaching philosophy is let the athletic trainer worry about the yeses and no's on the checklist. And the coaches worry about, their personnel and everything like that. And as long as that communication's, back and forth to where the coaching staff knows what their athlete's going to be doing, what their quarterback or what their position player is going to be, they're going to be out. We kind of just take care of the kids. We're all in the kid business.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I know the answer to this question, and I think maybe this is a little backwards from what we started, but what exactly is the concussion, or what exactly causes the concussion? Like, can you explain to us what's happening that causes a concussion?
So it's a I don't know how technical I need to be with this. You can edit
No,
that out.
yeah,
right? Okay.
get all the way.
Okay. So it's a biochemical disruption of the way your brain works. Okay, so it's not just a brain thing; it's a brain chemistry thing as well. So, a lot of people use the analogy of a bruise. Well, it's a lot more in depth than that, but it's a disruption of how your brain normally works and functions, and it affects both your motor, being able to move things, and your sensory, being able to feel and see and have a sense of balance. So everything that our brain is responsible for, a concussion can potentially negatively influence normal activity. That's why you may have prolonged nausea. You may have a prolonged headache or pressure in your head, things like that. Those things can lead to symptoms similar to vertigo, dizziness, blurred vision, sensitivity to light and sound.
And that's a result of usually basically, I've lost the word, but like jumbling your brain. Like your brain is actually moving out of place or being rattling
Sure.
your brain or rattling your head, whatever they say.
For simple terms, that's a great example. Kind of think of your brain like Jell-O, and it has a little bit of a wiggle inside your skull. So that whenever you have a hard enough wiggle, that's what can cause
Wiggles
concussion.
off balance. And,
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I mean, everybody knows the importance of a concussion. If nobody's had concussion training, they should definitely Google it, YouTube it, something to kind of, especially the athletes. I wish there was something that they had, as professionals now, we have those CBTs or, web-based trainings we got to do and stuff. I wish there was something, and there might be, of course, when I was in school, we didn't have anything like that, but something that tells the kids, hey, if you got these symptoms, or if you feel this ever during exertion or during game after a hit or blah, blah, blah. I mean, do they have those kind of things? I guess that's something that you guys probably have.
They do. I mean, the athletic trainers do a great job, and really just healthcare professionals do a great job educating patients and educating athletes and parents and things like that. But the UIL actually has, documents. They have acknowledgement forms regarding concussion, regarding cardiac. There's been a big push lately for kind of knowing the environment. How hot is it outside, and do we have cooling stations and hydration and things like that.
So have you can answer this because I remember whenever. So I want to say probably like my sophomore, junior year in high school. It was just a probably more than usual. There was a lot of kids just passing out, collapsing, things happening, just more than usual. So I do remember UIL did come out with at that particular time, I don't know if they're still doing it, where if it was like a certain heat index or something, you couldn't
got an extra time out.
You couldn't practice. You couldn't
Yeah.
practice. We couldn't even have practice outside. So I shout out Coach K. I remember this telling over. Coach K was like, "Oh, we're still having practice. We're just going into the gym. Get your flats on."
Yeah.
He said, "You think you're gonna miss practice? We're gonna go inside." So I remember, because being in Texas, we had in the months, those hot months, we had a lot of in the gym practices because it was so hot outside. And I ain't gonna lie, as players, we'd be like, "Coach, you check the heat index." We come out, they check, see what it is. They had a gauge thing that he's like, "Yeah, he's like, let's wait it out a little bit and see if it cools off. We can cool off, so we go in the gym." So I guess they don't do that anymore.
No, they actually do. And
Okay.
and what they have is they have a scale of, we're in Texas, so it's always hot.
Yeah.
Okay. When it's really hot, then we go in and we modify practice, designated, have to have set amount of times for how long you can work and how long you have to give rest for water. And then as we progress through that, the times change to benefit the resting athlete, to the point to where helmets and shirts and shorts only. So they also change and take away more of that protective gear, so you can't have full-blown practices because we are exerting in the heat and things like that. But when the wet bulb's up there, okay, when the athletic trainer or when the weatherman says stop, UIL says no outdoor activity has to cease until the temperature, until the environment's right.
I'm happy I asked that question, because as a parent, I'm not gonna lie, I've been wondering for years, why do you see? It seems like the kids are never in full patch no more, and it makes sense. Like, it's they're the modifications of the workouts, where just because of the heat and things like that. That's, man, you educated me on that. So shout out to the coaches that are doing it the right way.
Well, and you had mentioned it back in your day, a lot of kids having heat-related illness. And if you really thought about that, a lot of that was probably early on, because a lot of kids take that summer vacation. They may kind of be idle and not working out, not exposing themselves to the heat, a month, a week, or longer, somewhere in that time frame before practice. So if they're not acclimated to the heat, and that's another thing that we do, we have to have practices where helmets only, to kind of get used to the helmet, get used to the heat. Then we start kind of stacking the protective equipment back on.
Refresh your ride during the Thrill of Summer sales event at Nissan of Wichita Falls. Come see our great lineup of new Nissan, including all new Nissan Road and the new 2024 Nissan Frontier. Nissan of Wichita Falls has a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles and a service staff of certified Nissan technicians, backed by the best parts department in Texoma. We're locally owned and operated with a sales team you can trust at Nissan of Wichita Falls.
Or do you think that kids that participate more are less subject to injury than kids that don't participate, I guess? Does that make sense?
Well, there's injuries happen, accidents happen. You can sprain your ankle stepping off of a curb, or you can twist it while you're playing basketball. The more active people probably are less susceptible to injuries because they're in shape, they're acclimated, they're ready to go play. They get more injuries because they're doing more activity all the time.
Okay. So let's see. Man, I'm running out of questions. I think you answered quite a few. You got anything else, though?
No, I'm good. I think this has been good, been educational, been something. I guess the only thing I would have to say is just thank you to you guys, United Regional Physician Group as a whole. It's been great for this community. They do a lot of things behind the scenes, stuff that people don't even know that they do for this community. So we really do appreciate you guys not just being what we would call a hospital, but being active in the community. That's very important to have your hospital be supportive in the community. So we appreciate you guys for what you guys do.
We appreciate United Regional. Obviously I'm employed there. You're employed there. But yeah, I mean, like you said, they're so involved with everything, and it just makes it really nice to have someone like that. And do you got anything else for us, or
No, I think I'm
you got any extra
good.
questions? You ever been on a podcast before?
first time.
First time. There
Yeah.
we go. Sweet.
Guess I'll watch and see if I ever try to do it again.
Yeah, no, you did well. You did really good.
Thought about wearing my sunglasses like Dan Lloyd did.
Yeah, you could
fun.
have. Shout out to
Coach Lloyd, that's my guy.
So that I guess that is one thing. The sports medicine team. That team extends from physicians, doctors and surgeons, all the way down through nurses and physical therapists, athletic trainers, coaches, and it gets all the way down to the athlete and their parents. So, communication is really, really a big, important part of everything. So making sure that everyone's educated on prevention, management, and even, in the case of like post-operative care, making sure that the athlete's doing what they're supposed to when they're supposed to, because most of them have never been there before. They need to be compliant with their post-op.
Yeah, and I got another question real quick. Back to the concussion thing, but who decides on a concussion protocol? Is that a trainer thing that says, okay, and you guys are doing it, or is like the hospitals or their local like doctors or physicians or anybody involved with that, or how do y'all determine when it's time to go back, or if it's something more serious?
So the diagnosis of the concussion, there has to be a physician, or there has to be a
To sign off
practitioner,
on it,
a healthcare provider of the athlete's choice to sign off on safe to return to play.
Nice.
And as far as like the documentation of everything, there's a concussion oversight team. So with the schools, in line with our care, we have set parameters for what we do. Phase 1, okay, simplified. Phase 1, walk, jog. Phase 2, jog, run. Phase 3, sport specific. So they have to go through everything and meet those successfully until they can go from one phase to the next.
And is that a United Regional thing, or is that a ISD thing, or UIL?
It's different programs, different school districts may have different steps of the phases, but it's UIL, it's Texas state law required that we have to go through a phased progression that's been provided, or at least agreed upon by healthcare providers, team doctors, and things like that.
Yeah.
Your heads up football, even within the youth coaches, they talk about the phase progressions of going through those things and making sure that the kids, don't come back too fast and different things like that. Because in Little League, it's sometimes, this is all affected. It's the parents could tell you anything, and that's just one of the things I always tell my parents. I'd rather them be mad at me and make sure that their child is safe, and making sure that they bring that documentation before they return to play.
Yep.
So I think it's trickles this from little all the way up to the pros. I think you see the pros, even you be like, oh, he's coming back. And he's like, nope, he didn't pass the last phase.
Yep.
And I think even in the pros, when they don't pass, you could be at the end of that phase, and if you didn't pass it, I think you start over, and then you gotta work back up to that. So
those those are the things that if you run into complications, and you have prolonged or worsening symptoms over time, when they should be getting shorter and better over time. If you have any problems like that, it's always best to go back to see your doctor, go back to see your healthcare provider.
Yeah.
Same thing if you get to a certain phase to where, maybe we're supposed to be doing non-contact skill stuff and you start changing direction. If you hit a bump in the road, make sure you're checking in with athletic trainers, doctors, and things like that to make sure we're going step by step and managing those injuries like they should be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you don't have anything else for us? Are you good? Everything's okay?
Did they want to plug the sports clinic or anything?
Well, that's the biggest sponsor. Obviously it's United Regional, everything's a whole, but this sponsorship is more geared towards Orthopedics Express, I believe.
Yeah.
The orthopedic, the new orthopedic clinic.
Yeah.
So we, one big thing that we're trying to stress and to let everybody know is that they have that program about it's basically a walk-in
Yeah.
with any kind of sports related injuries or any kind of issues related to sports. So anytime you have an issue or you didn't, maybe the trainer wasn't able to check little Johnny out, or, you know, little Johnny came home and like you talked about, like a delayed symptoms of a concussion or something, like that might be something where people can need to know that,
Yeah,
hey,
so we really emphasize, you know, either going to our sports medicine specialist or going to a primary care doctor for concussion, because, you know, some people aren't comfortable managing them.
Yeah.
And they work with bones and joints for a living and aren't comfortable managing concussions. But for our Orthopedics Express clinic, yeah, it's a 5-day a week, you know,
walk in.
No appointments needed. And I can speak from experience from both professional and personal. I've utilized it, and it's accommodating to parent schedules. It's accommodating to work schedules. And you have a good idea of what's going on with an athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As soon as you get there.
It's good. I've actually taken my son there because he has flat feet and just running track, different things like that. He's kind of having some ailments. Took him in, they checked him out, told him some different insoles that he might could try out and different things. But it was follow up too. They didn't just tell him that he needed to do. They wanted him to get a mold, get his make some insoles for him, but insurance and different things like that, and they do not.
Don't get me started on insurance.
Well, they definitely. But one thing I will tell parents out there, they're definitely in the business of not ripping you off. If they feel like something is not going to be cost efficient, and they actually kind of do some of the shopping around for you to be like, hey, I think that's kind of pricey. Hey, let's try to see if we can go a different direction and try to get it covered a different way. Or in the meantime, this is something that we have in house that can kind of do the same thing. So that they worked well with him. But I think the biggest part is after he was gone, there was follow-up. Hey, how does that working out for you? Is that helping out? Is this helping you out? Where sometimes you can go to a place, I done my job, I'm not worried about what you know. So I think they're trying to be not only just a place that's in the community, but they also want to see the athletes win. So I did like it. I mean, that's going to be a place that we continue to, when we have issues, go to for sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the whole thing with, and you being lucky number one. I mean, I think we have a lineup coming of some doctors or some physicians and stuff to interview, and just kind of our plan is to the idea was to try to use our platform a little bit to try to get it out there that, hey, there's plenty of stuff out there for these kids. If they've got an injury, it's important to bring them in to get them, the right treatment to get these kids healed up. There's nothing more important than health. Don't worry about money issues, all that good stuff. I'm sure all that will take care of itself. But again, Jeremy, we appreciate you coming out here today, taking your time out of your day, coming on the sideline, chatting, hanging out with us, talking some sports, talking, some trainer, all that good stuff. But we appreciate you coming, and we'll see you around and maybe see you out on the field. I got my camera. I might be out there. I might see you. Might have to get you a little video. Yeah, there you go.
You can hang out with me on the sideline.
Yeah, so if you don't have anything else, then we'll just call it a day, and we appreciate you.
Sounds good.
All right, appreciate
you guys.
Yes, sir.